Yep. We're already live on Facebook. I think so. Yeah. Who's going second? I forget who's going second. I'm at a blank now. Who's going second?
Who's the lineup?
I'm blanking. Well,
possibly these three fellas in the back here.
Yeah, but it's one of them goes next. All right.
I already forgot. Who's this guy again?
Who? Oh, he's presiding commissioner of Camden County. Okay. Turn that down. I need you to share this to groups. Nixa, Ozark, Nixa Community, Sparta, We the People.
Ozark, Nixa Community, Sparta, We the People.
Conservatism, Missouri. I got the Revisited. Yeah, we'll do all those. And Save Missouri.
And then you just get next.
Next. Type the Christian County Flock Forum. Yep. Hey.
Paulette wants to know how you watch.
Go to the Facebook page. It's live right now. Testing 1, 2. Testing. All right, we're going to get started here in a few minutes. Can you turn that up a little bit? Can you turn my mic up a little bit? Maybe, if you can figure it out.
Just talk louder.
Just talk louder?
You got it.
All right. Yep. Oh, there's 8 pages to that. So you got to grab all 8 pages. Or ask me, I'll send it to you. We'll get started here in just a few minutes. We forgot to get all the seats up front here. Yeah. I believe you're talking after me.
Okay.
So I'll put this on your lapel whenever you're ready to go, okay?
I can probably do without.
The broadcast, yep. And if you want to tell anybody to watch on Facebook, Christian County MRA page is live. It is live streaming now. And you can share it out to whoever you want to share it out to. Do you have everybody's stuff ready to go, Andrew? You have everybody's stuff ready to go?
Police officer who used license plate reader cameras to track down a woman and wrongly accused her of theft. This story has been spreading online over the last month. Sergeant Jamie Milliman with the Columbine Valley Police Department showed up to the woman's home and claimed he had video evidence proving she stole a package when they used a flock safety camera to track her down. Turns out the allegation was wrong. The woman ended up proving she wasn't the thief and provided her own video evidence. Administrator with Columbine Valley wrote that Officer Milliman will be disciplined, but won't elaborate beyond that.
This is the PowerPoint where they went to things you needed, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Make sure this mic is on. Good evening. My name is Ron Sanders with the Christian County MRA. And welcome to the Christian County Flock Forum. It's one of the first times that we've tried to do a public interest forum to bring information to the public here in Christian County, accurate information, hopefully, that everybody feels is necessary to know, so that we can deal with whatever comes up, the controversies and everything. I'd like to thank everybody who's come, and I'd also like to thank our presenters. We have Ike Skelton. He's the presiding commissioner from Camden County. We have Shawn Ingwerson. Did I get your last name right? Close enough. He's an IT professional that's dug into the IT security aspects of the flock system itself. And then we have Chief Arnold and Sheriff Brad Cole here to answer everybody's questions that they might have about how the flock system is used by the law enforcement agencies. I am Ron Sanders, and I'm here to talk about the constitutionality of the flock systems. One of the things that I see a lot of people arguing about on Facebook and on other platforms was, is it constitutional? How are we protected? What's going on with these systems? And it's confusing because a lot of people don't understand their rights. First of all, people don't understand how the Constitution protects them, especially in public. And people assume that the government may have powers that they either don't have or shouldn't have. And that's where it all comes down to, is it constitutional? What has the court said about it? What have our legislators said about it through laws? And where do we go whenever we actually hand power like this to the law enforcement agents or to the government overall? And who's going to restrict that government to only using it in a constitutional manner and not abusing it? As you can see in the video that we played just before I started, the police in outside of Denver, Colorado, one policeman in particular, used the flock system to find this woman and accuse her of a crime. He actually charged her with the crime based on the information that he was able to look up on the flock system. And he even made a comment to her, "You can't go anywhere in our town without us knowing it," which is quite chilling. And it's something that I really don't want to hear from the police department. And I'm pretty sure most good policemen would probably say they don't want to say something like that, because I don't think it shines a good light on them either. That policeman was disciplined. the charges were dropped. She drove a Rivian, which has cameras and GPS tracking and everything. So she was able to gather up all of her data, hand it over to the police chief, and get the charges dropped so that they wouldn't have to move forward with a case at all. Some of the things that we need to think about are what happens whenever these systems are abused and everything. But what I'd like to talk about is, how is it constitutional? Well, the first thing is, you don't have a right to privacy when you are in public. I will say that again. Nobody has a right to privacy while they are in public. So you're walking down the street, you're in the public, and somebody else is out there, and they're taking pictures and video. You can't say anything about it. Well, you can, and you get on the camera and rant and rave, but they're not doing anything illegal. They are taking videos and pictures, and the Supreme Court has already said that anything that you can see in public, you can take pictures of in public. So that's number one. And just because we as citizens have that right does not mean that the police do not have that right. The police have been operating forever on what's called plain view doctrine. Plain view doctrine basically says that if the police can see it from plain view, then they can investigate it. They can use it for investigative purposes. They can use it as evidence. There are a lot of rules that go into that they go to school for. But the basic gist of it is, if they can see it from the public, then they can use it for investigative purposes. If you leave a six-pack on your front seat and you have one open in the console, and you just pulled up into a parking spot next to a policeman, and he looks down into your car and he sees you setting the can of beer down into the console and it's open, in plain view, he just saw you drinking and driving. That's kind of like the basics of the plain view doctrine. As technology moves on, we start to have a lot of these challenges. And one of the first challenges that came up was telephone records. Telephone records were held by the telephone companies. And there was a court case. I have a list of court cases in the back there. I won't bore you with all the names and everything, but you can look them up yourself. And I will publish all of this information on our Facebook page and on our web page, so that it has so there's public access for all of the information that I've gathered, all the information that the speakers will give me to make public. I want to make sure that all that gets out there. But getting back to the story. So the police say, hey, I can start using your telephone records because they're not owned by you, they're owned by the telephone company. So it goes all the way to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court says, well, those are not your records, those are the telephone company's records, and they can do with them what they want. And that's when the police started to be able to actively use telephone records for investigative purposes and for prosecutions. The prosecutors were able to use that as evidence and everything. And then we got into cell phones. And cell phones, are just like telephones whenever it comes to making telephone calls, but now they do so much more. We have more power in our hand than they did when they went to the moon. And whether that's working out good for society or not, it's up for debate. But for tonight, you have a lot of power in your hands. You also have a lot of tattletaling in your hands as well. Because if you let your cell phone track you, you are making a permanent record of everything you do and every place you go. And that can be a good thing, or that can be a bad thing. For the lady in the video, that was a very good thing, because she had all the data to go and say, hey, this is where I was and this is what I did, and prove her innocence, basically, right? We're not really supposed to need to do that, and I'm pretty sure if she would have went to court, she probably would have been okay anyways. But now we're going around tracking ourselves. Now we have GPS data, and plus we have GPSs that you can stick on your car too, right? So there was a court case because the police went out and said, hey, I want to track this criminal, and they went and they put a GPS on somebody's car and they tracked the person. It wasn't the tracking that was so much the problem because, they had probable cause and all that stuff. It was the fact that they went on private property and did that without a warrant. So the Supreme Court said, hey, if you're going to go put a GPS on somebody on their private property, you have to have a warrant. So I'm pretty sure a lot of people, and I'm looking over here to see if they're shaking their head yes and no, by the way. I'm pretty sure a lot of police departments, they're probably going to be like, you know what, let's go get a warrant anyways. We'll put the GPS tracker on them. But now we don't even need that because everybody's got a cell phone. So now the police are like, hey, we just need to go to Verizon or T-Mobile and get all of your information from T-Mobile, all of your tracking information. So here's where the Supreme Court really starts to pay off for our privacy and our protection. And this is after the Patriot Act and everything. Patriot Act was like 2001, 2002, 2003, all that, right? Well, this happened, I believe, in 2019. The Supreme Court said, hey, if you're going, there's a reasonable expectation of privacy with your cell phone data, and if the police are going to use that, then they have to go get a warrant in order to get the GPS tracking information from Verizon on your phone, or just go straight to you and say, we have a warrant to arrest your phone. We're going to take it with us and download it and take a look at what you got, right? And I'm pretty sure there's some rules about exactly what they get to look at on your phone, depending on what the warrant says and all that stuff. But the court basically said, in order for them to look at your cell phone tracking, the GPS data, they have to go get a warrant. And that started the new age of technology and tracking people, because our whereabouts are known by everybody in the private sector all day long. Have y'all ever looked at your phone at Walmart or checked Facebook at Walmart while you were shopping? And what's the first ad you saw? Was something that was being sold at Walmart? The private companies already know that you're at Walmart. 2 days ago, you looked up tripods. So guess what they're showing you? They're showing you what's for sale as far as tripods go at Walmart. As soon as you walk in, or as soon as you pull in and you're getting ready to get out of your car. And in the private sector, they're buying and selling all of this information all day long. So it's already happening, right? The private sector, you can go sue all day long if you have the money to, or if you're knowledgeable enough to represent yourself. You can do that all day long. And whether it turns out something positive or negative varies, right? But now we're talking about the power of the government versus the power of the people. So recently, over in Norfolk, Virginia, they got a whole bunch of these cameras, license plate readers. And the police chief puts them all over the place, right? And a Supreme Court case, a court case goes up to the Supreme Court, the Fourth Court of Appeals, and says they can use that system. They can use that system to build a case against you with probable cause, with appropriate warrants and everything. It's not unconstitutional. At the same time, they were also doing not just drones, but airplane surveillance. They're flying airplanes all over the city and all over the state. And they're keeping track of all of the vehicles. And this is 2021. This is kind of the beginning of AI. They're able to start putting all of this data together. And they are starting to be able to build a database of traffic movements. And not only of just general traffic movements, they're able to pinpoint people's cars from the roofs. And they're able to start identifying individuals that are driving around. And a case never made it to the Supreme Court. It made it to the Fourth Court of Appeals. And the Fourth Court of Appeals said, that's mass surveillance, and you're not allowed to do mass surveillance. So we had a court case. It didn't get all the way up there, but everybody will be able to use it in other jurisdictions if they want to. But basically, the courts are starting to say, mass surveillance, no. Mass surveillance is not good. So we already have our government doing its job, doing its due diligence to a point, as far as mass surveillance, as far as technology creeping into our lives, and where can the government use that information, and where is the government restricted from using that information. During these cases, the courts have come up with the idea of a mosaic, and they recognized that there is a danger of this information being used by putting somebody's past history together over a long period of time and getting a snapshot of what they've done over a long period of time. It has not been completely adjudicated, but several different court cases have said that to go back in time in somebody's life, there are some investigative restrictions. And depending on the case that you look at, whether it's probable cause or whether it's requiring a warrant to reconstruct your life. But now, to be fair with the police, they can go out on the street corner and they can send 10 officers, right, to 10 different locations in the city. And they can spend 8 hours writing down every single license plate that passes. And they can keep that paper forever. So now they know where you've been and what time you went past, right? Isn't that kind of what they would be doing right there? And there's no restriction on how long they can keep that piece of paper. That's pretty much what the license plate readers do, especially here in Missouri. They take the picture, they report the date and time, and I know you're going to have a lot more to add, but they take the pictures, they do the date and time stamp, and that is pretty much what's available to the police. And credit to the police, that's what they've restricted themselves to through policy and through their procedures and through what they've contracted to do. Tonight, we will have a couple people come up here and tell you what the cameras can do. The cameras can do so much more, and it is scary, and that's why we're here. Not to berate the police for what they're using it for, but to understand how the technology is being developed and understand where we as citizens need to go from here to make sure that we are driving the bus on future legislation, on future court cases, if you ever have to get involved in those court cases, and read the policies that the police have. Read the contracts. Go to the city council meetings when they are voting on using or purchasing or making these contracts to use these systems. Because it's the city council and it's the mayor that signs the contract that allows them to use it as well. So anyways, getting back to this court stuff and the constitutionality of it, right? What we have is on one side, we have a whole bunch of court cases saying the police get to do these things. The Plainview Doctrine, GPS tracking. They can get your cell phone data with a warrant. They can track you. They can send a detective to follow you around all day and see what you're doing. Now, on the other side, mass surveillance is not acceptable. We don't want to be like East Germany. We don't want to be like 1980s Russia. We don't want to be like some of these cities that we have in our country now doing all kinds of stuff. So there is a contention. Where is the line that we want to draw? We are citizens. Where is the line that we want drawn to where the government can only do so much when it comes to surveillance? That's what we have to decide, and that's kind of where I want you guys to be when you walk out of this room and start thinking about it. And if you start reading up on the systems a little bit more, is where do we want to be? Want to go talk to our legislators? Want to go talk to our police chief about maybe the policy's too broad or not? That's the kind of stuff. But don't set your hair on fire and just go crazy because you heard a tagline. Have some knowledge whenever you engage. And that's what I want you guys to take from this forum. Last thing that I'm going to let you know, there is a court case. It is a civil rights court case in Norfolk. The police chief put one of those license plate readers aimed at a person's house. It aimed like on a road, but it also aimed at their house. So every single time they came home, every single time that they left, every single time that they went to church, every single time they went to the grocery store, every single time they went anywhere in Norfolk, there was a license plate reader telling the government where they were, and by the mosaic theory, what they were doing. You know, if they went down this road, they were going to their church. They went down this road, they were going to their political meeting. If they went down this road, they were going to work, going to school, picking up their kids. That's the fear that I think everybody has, is does the government have the right to track our every movement? And I'll tell you, I don't like it. But if the systems are restrained, if the systems are used properly, and if we have the appropriate legislation and court rulings eventually, then maybe we can protect ourselves from over surveillance and everything. The next person that we have up is going to be our esteemed presiding commissioner from Camden County. And he's going to get into the government aspect and government liability aspect with a presentation.
Thank you, Ron. I appreciate you.
All right.
Where are we?
Just right there.
I got a pretty good voice. I might not need it, but they want to record things, so I appreciate it. Thank you for letting me be down here. I hope I can get this done in 15 minutes. I could probably talk to you about a couple hours on this stuff. I've researched this stuff very, very heavily because in Camden County, we prohibited these things. Our commission did. We made them illegal in our county. And after a year of it not being enforced, I went and took it down off the pole. They charged me with 2 felonies and a misdemeanor. We got that squared away. But by doing that, I learned an awful lot about these things. And I want to share that with you today. So the best thing we can do is right now is we can figure out that they got into Missouri right around in 2022. And they came through a grant and some sort of a temporary agency study. There was a little bit of information from Governor Parson that brought them in, but I can't find that information on the internet anymore. Maybe I'm not savvy enough to find it. Maybe it's been scrubbed. I really don't know. But that's kind of when it came into Missouri. Now, I'm going to not just use conjecture, what have you. I've actually got the documents from the government. I've got the memorandum of understanding. Next slide, please. And there's a lot of information in these MOUs. I highly recommend that you get a chance, you go check those out. There are several of memorandums of understanding out there, but they all have been incorporated into the 3/2022 version. It states right here. And the most recent version that was signed started 7/1 of 24, and the term is 60 months. So they plan on having it around here for at least 5 years, according to this. So let's get right into what's in this. So first of all, the product is the camera, and it is a Flock Safety Falcon camera. I think they probably use others. There are other camera readers out there, but Flock is probably the most prominent and certainly is the contract that the state of Missouri is signed with. And you'll see right here that it says vehicle fingerprint technology. We'll get into that just a little bit later. The installation of these things we found out very, very interesting. Missouri Department of Transportation, through the Engineering Policy Guidelines 941.101, dealing with automatic license plate readers and pan tilt zoom cameras, require a certain engineering standards to get these put into place. Now, the information on this will tell you when you look at that the Department of Public Safety has to give approval for the camera to be there, and the Department of Transportation puts the camera in. And I'm talking mostly state stuff here. I don't know about all the different local MOUs and agreements. I highly recommend you get those from your local law enforcement officers. And read them and find out exactly what they got to deal with. But anyhow, that's what this thing says. Now, and it says MoDOT will facilitate other people putting them in place. Now, I find that kind of interesting because MoDOT does absolutely have the authority in Missouri to put cameras along the road for traffic patterns, traffic control, and other things of that nature. But the Department of Public Safety does not. So how in the world is it the Department of Public Safety can give them the authority? You can't transfer authority from one agency to another. So that'll be something interesting when we get to court. Next part is the Flock operating system. I'm going a little fast because, like I said, I got a lot I can share and just a little time to do it. The Flock operating system is the brain behind it, and this is what the Memorandum of Understanding gives the Department of Public Safety and other end users the authority to have. Community cameras. So any other private camera that agency has been given authority to access, the agency, and I want to say the agency, I say the Department of Public Safety, which is the Missouri State Highway Patrol, has full access to those cameras and anything that they can read from them. This is the contract they signed, folks, not any kind of agreement somebody else wrote. This is the actual contract, the operation, or the Memorandum of Understanding. Unlimited users, statewide network, and a nationwide network. They have the authority, your local agencies have the authority for license plate lookup only on those statewide and nationwide systems. Unless there is a direct share. If any other agency owns those cameras and wants to directly share the information with the agency, then they have full access to do anything and any kind of lookups they want in there. Time and location-based search. So yes, they can absolutely figure out, hey, my ex-wife might have been over here at a certain time. Well, I want to find out if she was over there at that time. And they can absolutely look that sort of stuff up, or maybe your neighbor or somebody of that nature. License plate lookup. Look up specific license plate location history captured on Flock devices. And this is the fun part. Who was down at the meeting a couple of weeks ago at Moore when the Highway Patrol Lieutenant, did he mention, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't he say that they only take pictures of license plates? That's what he said, right? Well, check this out. Memorandum of Understanding, the government signed it. Vehicle fingerprint search. Search footage using, I just said footage because that's in here. Is a picture footage? Now, video's footage, right? Okay, so very good. So they can search the footage using vehicle fingerprint technology. They access the vehicle type, the make, the color, the license plate, the state, missing covered plates, other unique features like bumper stickers, decals, and roof racks. They can look for a lot more than just your license plate, and I assure you they do it often. There's more information on that. I'm not going to share it all because I don't have the time. Flock Insights, they can do audits and some other things. Let's see, are we on to the, let's see here. Yeah, next slide, please. Direct share, direct share time. Okay, all right, very good. So, all right. Now, next thing we have going on with the Memorandum of Understanding, again, this is the government that the document, document the government signed, and it is in place. So they have this ability then on ability to archive footage. Now, it does absolutely say that Flock will keep it for 30 days, but the agency and or local agencies have the authority and the ability to store it for as long as they want to. Agency is responsible for extracting, downloading, and archiving footage from the Flock system on its own storage devices. So if they have that, they have the authority to do that. The next item I wanted to get into is the Flock services and support. So it says that Flock retains all right, title, and interest to the Flock IP. And it says that right here. Retain all right, title, and interest to Flock IP. Well, what is the Flock IP? Flock IP will mean the Flock services, the documentation, the hardware, the embedded software, the installation services, and any and all intellectual property therein. So it means absolutely everything pertaining to these cameras, okay? They own these cameras. Agency further acknowledges Flock retains the right to use the foregoing for any purpose in Flock's sole discretion. So any information that your agencies are retaining, or actually the cameras are sitting out there, so everything that goes by those cameras, Flock has the authority to keep and use and share with anybody they want to, anytime they want to. That is Flock. That's not your local agency, but because your government is allowing them to be out there, Flock, a private corporation, is using your information. They sell it to other people so that they can do the things like on your phone, they know where you're at, all this other sorts of stuff, okay? So then we get into a security interest, and again it says, the hardware shall remain the personal property of Flock. If it's personal property, maybe it should be assessed for taxes. Go to your assessor in your county. It might be kind of fun to do that and see if anything comes of that. But I brought that up because When I was thinking about taking the one down in Camden County, I was told, well, that's government property. You're going to get in trouble for tampering with government property. So I got the MOU and I found out, guess what? They don't own any of them. The state of Missouri doesn't own any of them, I think. There might be some they own. That's a little scary. Don't know. Haven't dug as deep as we possibly could. And I will tell you one thing. Your government really doesn't want you to know what they're doing. If they would, they just give it to you. They really want to keep it as secret as they possibly could. And the police officer in that other instance where she told that lady that you can't go anywhere without us knowing, he just messed up and told her the truth. That's what he did. So you can search this stuff and sunshine it and try to get it. Section 4, flock must comply with sunshine requests, so that's a good thing. And flock can redistribute the data of the agency. So what's that saying? It's saying that, let me get to that right here. It says, above a non-exclusive, perpetual, irrevocable, worldwide, royalty-free, fully paid license to use, reproduce, modify, and distribute the agency data and non-agency end-user data as a part of the aggregated data. So again, anything that your county, your city, your state is capturing right now into the flock system can be used by flock and shared with anybody across the entire world at their pleasure. Now, this is the last MOU slide. Next slide, please. So I'm going to get into some of the reference material. And again, there's a lot more in here that would probably bother you, some of you, if you're concerned with liberty and what your government has the ability to do against you. I would highly recommend you take a look at that a little bit deeper. I would also encourage you to look at the Electronic Frontier Foundation. I would encourage you to look at 404 Media. Now, some of those that maybe are on the R side of the stripe a little bit, you'll find 404 Media is a little liberal, but that's okay. They got good information, and they believe in keeping us not being surveilled. Another document I found rather interesting during my research is the Congressional Research Service, Law Enforcement and Technology, Use of Automated License Plate Readers, dated August 19, 2024. So this isn't old stuff. What they will tell you is that the federal government, no specific federal legislative framework exists that governs federal law enforcement use of ALPRs. So everything that you give, that these cameras pick up, the federal government has the direct authority to use any way they want to. What are some of the things they do? Law enforcement agencies may use ALPRs for a variety of proactive policing purposes. Anybody know what proactive policing is? It's like predictive policing. What's that? Some of that stuff is, and they're trying to figure out what you might wind up doing. Minority Report stuff, right? That's absolutely what that stuff is. Gathering intelligence and evidence, so they can just gather intelligence on you, whether they actually have a warrant or not. They can gather all this information. From gathering investigative leads, helping establish probable cause, and all this other nonsense. Generally, federal law does not direct or prohibit specific tools and technologies. And guess what? Neither does Missouri law. I highly recommend you take a look at that as well. And of course, you can do sunshine requests. I'm going to be doing one fairly soon, but I would highly recommend that you contact Missouri State Highway Patrol and the Department of Public Safety and sunshine all of these documents. What I haven't done yet is I haven't gotten the Highway Patrol's policies and procedures on how to deal with flock systems yet, but that'll be coming next. So Ron wanted me to speak about liabilities and concerns, and I absolutely will. This is all being privately collected. That's why these guys own the system. The reason that it's privately collected, because I believe, and this is something that we need to search and maybe attack legally, is because these things are owned by a private corporation. The information is being seized by a private corporation and held by a private corporation. A private corporation cannot violate your Fourth Amendment constitutional rights. So that's how the government gets around the Fourth Amendment. Look, if somebody tells you that the government, and I don't work for the government, I work for the people of Camden County, but I am in the government. And when someone tries to tell you that the government is there to protect your rights, that's not true. Because I'll tell you what, 9 times out of 10, the government is trying to figure out how they can get around your rights and still get the information that they want on you. They are not there to protect your rights. I'll tell you that again. The government is not there to protect your rights. They're there to go around them if they can do it. Let's see. So that's why I believe this all has to be done by this private entity, because the government wouldn't be able to get away with this if they were doing it all themselves. What the government does then is they get into the database that Flock has, and then they can work around that database all they want to without a warrant and gather as much information against you, track you, and do all the nonsense that some of us, are concerned that the government can do. They're already doing it. Misuse of these systems. Joplin, we probably just heard about this guy, 200 and some odd views that he looked up somebody. We'll see if he ever gets adjudicated. Kansas, there were a couple of officers there. I'm almost done, Ron. I apologize if I'm going over. Kansas, there were a couple of officers there that we know violated the system, tracked their ex-girlfriends and new girlfriends' husbands or boyfriends. In Texas, the state of Texas wanted to find out if a missing lady, went to Illinois to get an abortion, because that was the theory, right? So they looked at Illinois' data information. When this was all found out, Flock freaked out because, I'll be honest, Flock is kind of liberal. They're okay with killing unborn babies. So they don't want the government to be able to use this information to track individuals that might be getting abortions outside of the state that they're illegal to have them in. So Flock has actually cut off access to this information. And they've also cut off ICE from being able to use Flock information, if you didn't know that. So this liberal outfit can turn it on, turn it off, let you see what they want you to see, let you see what they don't want you to see. Anytime they want to do that, they absolutely do that. What they did found is they found that 45 other entities or so actually violated Illinois state law when they looked up all of this information. A government entity, the Texas Department of Safety, violated Texas or Illinois law. Do you think they care about your law and rights? Nah. If they'll violate a state law, they'll violate your rights as well. So sharing and accuracy. Here's an interesting part right here. Also in this MOU, it says that all information that is being collected, it says, as between Flock and agency is solely responsible for the accuracy, quality, integrity, legality, reliability, and appropriateness of all agency data and non-agency end user data. So what that means, if you're a government entity and something is wrong in that information, you could possibly be sued because it's the agency that is responsible for making sure that all the information is accurate, according to the memorandum of understanding that was signed by your government. The state of Washington courts have said that if a sunshine request is done, you have to give them the information. If you go into the Flock system and say, hey, I want such and such license plate, I want to know where they were in the last 30 days, according to the Washington State Supreme Court, excuse me, they have to give up that information. So how about when that comes here to Missouri and there's somebody gets sued for that? Again, that's your tax dollars that are in jeopardy. And again, I mentioned the Flock's use restrictions. Some of the things that I'm very concerned about that is happening now in the near future and is already happening somewhere here in America is that AI will not just be used as the software to use the fingerprint technology to search out these other vehicles, but they're also starting to put it directly in the cameras. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a specific camera. The software is the big deal. Sorry, I won't take all your thunder. But that is kind of how they do that. And they're getting to the point where already using these cameras for speed limit enforcement. Hey, Ike, how were you doing that? You got a little radar gun out there. They check it. The camera takes your picture and they send you a ticket in the mail. Already happening. We know in Missouri, red light cameras, that was found unconstitutional. Somebody said that they changed the legislation and now red light cameras are legal in Missouri again. I don't know. I want to look into that a little bit deeper. They shouldn't be regardless. Emission controls in Europe right now. If you have a car that is too old and because of the emissions, they don't want you in a particular town and you drive into that area, they will capture your license plate. They'll know the year of your vehicle, say, oh, that's too old. We're going to send you a fine in the mail. Is happening in Europe and will come here. Seatbelt enforcement and distracted driving. They are also already using this technology. They will look through the front of your windshield. They'll see if you don't have a seatbelt on or you're on your phone. And if those are restricted in your states, They will then send another ticket in the mail. This is all about revenue generation and behavior modification, folks. That's what the government tries to do to you, is to control your behavior and modify what you do so that they can control you. That's what governments do. And American government is getting worse and worse and worse about it, and so are an awful lot of our local governments. So, one of the problems with that again is who down in New York, I'm almost done. In New York, do you know right now that if it's congested downtown New York City, right, and you go in there a certain time of day, you're going to pay a fine to go into New York City? Did you know that? Right. Well, how do they know to do that? License plate readers. They pick you up and they send you a ticket in the mail. Now, we're in Missouri, right? I live in Missouri. I love Missouri. Born and raised in Missouri. Who's ever heard of the Missouri Information Analysis Center? It's also known as MIAC. In 2009, they came out with a report about the modern militia movement. This is hard to find. It's been scrubbed pretty deep from the internet. You may be able to search Sunshine requested from DPF or from MIAC. I honestly don't know. I haven't tried because I got a copy. Man, this is the stuff that really bothers me. I love my state. I love my country, and I love the freedom we have. But it's being taken away from us every day. And it's happening here in Missouri as well. It was back in 2009, the modern militia movement. I want to tell you some of the things that they see in the militia trend. Christian identity. Militant anti-abortionists. There was really only one or two that I remember that did anything about abortion clinics. The rest of us just stand out there and pray to God that we'll stop killing unborn babies. But if you're in that movement, you're a militant anti-abortionist. Tax resistors. If you think your taxes are too high and you want to complain about that, you might be part of the modern militia. Anti-immigration. If you're anti-immigration, you might be part of the modern militia. And here's some of the things that probably bother me the most. Common militia symbols, political and anti-government rhetoric. Quote, militia members most commonly associate with third-party political groups. It is not uncommon for militia members to display Constitutional Party, Campaign for Liberty, or libertarian material, and they might have followed Ron Paul at one time. Anti-government propaganda. Militia members commonly display pictures, cartoons, bumper stickers that contain anti-government rhetoric. Oh my goodness. If you have that stuff, you might be part of the militia, but you're definitely being watched. Most of the material will depict the Federal Reserve System, the IRS, the FBI, the ATF, CIA, the United Nations law enforcement, and the New World Order in a derogatory manner. Imagine that. One of the things that bothers me the most, because they have some symbology. I put this on my wall in my office. It's behind me so that when I do webinars, meetings, the media comes down and interviews me, they know that's there. Because this is the type of thing against our government that I will stand for. But you know what? Your Missouri State Highway Patrol, and this is why I don't trust them, your Missouri State Highway Patrol and MIAC thinks because you have that, you're part of the militia. That was in 2009. Do you think they've changed their mind much today? That's all I have, folks. Thank you.
Well, I'd like to thank Commissioner Skelton for coming down and giving his information. As we continue on with the Flock Forum and talking about license plate readers and how they affect us profoundly, next up is a young man who spoke before the Nixa City Council about the IT aspect, IT security. And he found out some things about not our problem, but the company's problems with their IT security and things that we might want to be aware of because we're paying for them. So I'd like to introduce Shawn Ingwerson, just a local citizen that decided to dig deep and find out a little bit more about this stuff. And I'm going to mic you up here. There you go.
Hello. I don't know if this is picking me up or not. Oh, is that better? Hello? Is that working? Okay. Yeah, I don't know how I'm supposed to follow up with that. That was terrific. I'm on the same page as he is, and to add on to the very end there, these same organizations that consider us, in the wrong for, thinking our taxes are too high or being anti-abortionist, they also consider phrases like "Christ is King" a form of terrorism. So keep that in mind as well. But my biggest issues with Flock are it's terrible technology. They're using really, really cheap Android boards to make these cameras. So the OS is actually on the camera itself. They have over 60 documented security vulnerabilities on how to access these cameras. And once you get into the camera is actually running Android 8. I don't know if you guys have, an Android phone, right? This guy's laughing, he gets it. So Android 8 actually has not been updated since, I think, 2020. So it's been 6 years since it's gotten a security update, which now, following that, it has over like 600, I think, listed and documented security vulnerabilities. So there's another man named John Gainsek Gaines. He runs a company called Gainsek. He figured out that you can just press the button on the back of the camera a couple of times and turn it into an Android bridge, which now gives somebody full access to everything on that camera, turning it into like a Wi-Fi point if you wanted to. So that also allows somebody to use that to connect to other people's networks, set up like fake websites. You're thinking you're signing into your email, your Facebook, but really you're signing into his own server. And now they have all your information. Man, you covered a lot of the stuff I wanted to get into too. No, you're good. It was awesome. So another concern with the Falcon is that it actually has a USB port on the back of the camera. You can plug a USB in there, attack it from the inside out as well. Let's see. Sorry, I got a list of stuff I got to get through here. So correction on that. It's been since 2021 since the Android has had a security update. They are missing features even from 2017 also on these cameras that are part of the security. Two-factor authentication is not a thing on the user interface. So when police sign into these, I guess like an example, like when you're signing into Facebook, right? It'll send an email to you. You'll have to click, "This is me signing in," right? That's a form of two-factor. Flock doesn't require that for any of these. It's set up by the police department, but even then, there are ways around that. So there's no two-factor authentication. Credentials have also been found on sale on the dark web on more than one occasion, and you can actually buy these in bulk, which you don't have to buy the credentials. Flock cares so little about their security. The admin API is actually found on one of their websites. So using dorking, and dorking is a form of Google searching, right? It's very specific terms. It's using, if like websites are coded in HTML. So if you search using HTML or like these coding languages, you can actually search very specifically for admin interfaces. And with these admin interfaces, you can see everything Flock has. So they were accessing not only cameras near them and in their own town, but they were accessing other states as well. And this included all of their hot lists, which is vehicles that might be involved in some sort of crime. It also included the information about the driver as well. And it, what else was there? Sorry, there's another thing. So it also has personal information of the on-duty police officers. So you can actually see the current location of police officers and find out personal info such as phone numbers, family, addresses, which is a big one. And to lead into that, they've also to sell to these cities as well. Let me stay on track with the security side of it. So there is using dorking. I'm going to show a video really quick if you can open up that browser. I pulled it up right here. Yeah. So this guy's name is Ben Jordan. He was originally a sound engineer, so he would make music, but because of AI, it pushed him into a form of journalism, mainly following Flock. Yeah, go ahead and turn it up. And then you can make it full screen. Let me make sure that. So He's also partnered up with 404 Journalism. Yeah.
Time that it took to count and verify these vulnerabilities. I saw a family in North Carolina load their infant and a bunch of merchandise in a Lowe's parking lot. And I suppose one could cross-reference their license plate with the Arnold data breach and find out exactly where the garage is that will store these new fancy tools. I watched a man leave his house in the morning in New York. I watched a woman jogging alone on a forest trail in Georgia. This trail had multiple cameras in it. I could watch a man rollerblade and then take a break to watch rollerblading videos on his phone. How? Because the camera's AI automatically zoomed in on it. Just like it zoomed in on a couple arguing at the street market in Atlanta. So what? They're still anonymous, right? No, they're not. Within 2 minutes of open source intelligence using a commercial facial recognition engine, I found out that one of them just finished medical school and the other is dealing with chronic irritable bowel syndrome. The couple also just had a baby last year and they have a pretty concerning debt to income ratio. I also know that they drove over 45 minutes from their address in the suburbs to attend church in Atlanta that morning, and then they checked out this market and bought a sweater. I watched a law enforcement officer in an ambulance escort a man having a mental health crisis in Iowa. I know this because the Cedar Rapids Police Department maintains a public database of every single emergency call in the city, as well as daily arrest reports with individuals' names, addresses, ages, and genders. Listen, I know that I'm being creepy. Just saying these words out loud nauseates me.
You can
But
pause it.
I'm trying to show you, just
So this is from a leak a few weeks ago. It was using Flock's, not the Falcon cameras, but they released the pan tilt zoom cameras, which actually follow people as you walk past them. So they had found over 100 cameras at this point that they could use the Dorking on a different search engine rather than Google. And in doing so, they found all of these cameras that were just open. They didn't have a password or anything. And you saw how easy it was for him to just find out all that personal info about that couple arguing and things like that as well. He's been in a constant battle with Flock. Flock doesn't want you to know any of this information. They don't want you to know where cameras are located. They want to hide all of this. There's been cease and desist since after these guys on repeat. Deflock.me, I can't remember what the guy's name is, but he created this website so people knew where Flock cameras were because he felt there was an invasion on privacy. So Flock does not want you to know about any of this information. And the name of those cameras that were leaked were called the Condor. And getting into the technology, the AI aspect, which are in every single camera, that's what they advertise their entire thing on. It is the U.S. patent 114165545B1, and this was in 22. So not only does it document characteristics about your cars, but it also documents everything about you, including height, weight, your clothing, the clothing brands you support, the type of apparel that you constantly are wearing, which then leads into their deals with Lowe's and Walmart. And that also leads into dynamic pricing, which means that they will track not only your traveling, but now they're going to track your shopping as well and digitally change pricing per person, regardless of if you can afford it or not. They know you want it, so they're going to try to gouge it out of you. That makes the most sense to them. And let me see, sorry. And Flock is also on repeat continuously lied about all of their crime statistics. All of their crime statistics have been from 2017. The national average since Trump has been in office, if we look at the pattern on a whole of the United States, the crime has been slowly going down, and Flock is trying to take credit for this when they had nothing to do with it at all. Because if you look at the things that they claim that they've done, which was a man was kidnapped and killed, and this is out in Denver. He was taken from Denver to another city, and the governor said that Flock helped them solve this crime. And the only reason we know that that didn't happen is because his mother came out and said that you guys are using my son as a way to advertise Flock cameras. And they have tried to shut her down. They've threatened to arrest her. She has been sued on more than one occasion from Flock, which of course none of this went through because it was her son that was killed. Let's see. Yeah, they fail on repeat to implement basic security features on their cameras. They also have downplayed all of these events. They deny a lot of this stuff that is currently happening. Just for legal reasons, I'm not going to show you how easy it is, but he makes it very simple. And in his own words, he says a 12-year-old could do it if they were bored. And I believe him because looking into it, I mean, you saw that he just used a form of searching on the internet and found admin panels because all of their admin stuff is done in a browser on their computer. So it doesn't require any sort of like special software or anything like that. You can just use something else other than Google and then find admin portals that have no password requirements, they have no security features, and he could stalk people if he wanted to. And we've already been, seeing that abuse. And then I'm going to go, just because I find it funny, he read Flock's statement, but yeah, he recorded it using one of their exposed cameras.
From search engines, let's just save the back and forth, and I'll literally read you Flock Safety's response to APPM about their security from a brand new Flock Safety camera that's publicly deployed. Might as well, it's my tax dollars that paid for it. Flock is committed to continuously improving security. The devices in this YouTube video were not connected to the cloud, and to the best of our knowledge, not customer installed, so the security is akin to factory setting. It's like looking at an iPhone stolen off a truck before it was ever connected to the cloud. If a person were able to gain physical access to the device leased to the city, which is illegal, they still would not be able to gain access to the footage, as the data is only stored for a very limited time duration on the device following its transmission to the cloud. None of these vulnerabilities affect our cloud platform, where the vast majority of all evidence and metadata is stored.
You unpause it. And following that, because I forgot to mention it, because I'm a terrible note taker. So Flock has also said that their cameras are encrypted. They're not, as you see here. They say that they don't store anything for more than 30 days. They do. This guy here, Ben Jordan, has actually reverse engineered the cameras and found footage on these cameras of the motion going off in factory. So they store everything on the camera, right? I've seen, it's a private company. So when Nixa says that they don't do anything with the data, they have zero control over it. It's not their decision. They can't touch these cameras because if they try to take them down, Flock will bill them tens of thousands of dollars. We've seen towns smaller than ours that had, a couple of Flock cameras, and they wanted to cover them up because it was a privacy concern. And now they hold those towns hostage by, trying to bill them hundreds of thousands of dollars at this point for covering up cameras. Because even if Nixa were to close their contract, it would then be another legal battle getting these taken down, because we don't own these cameras as a city. Flock owns them, as was covered before. So Flock, in my opinion, is a terrible company. They disgust me with their business practices and the fact that they market them as something else when they're being used to harvest our own personal data and sell them to third parties with a lack of security features that a child could get into. That's really about it. So I don't know to close that out. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Shawn.
Yes.
Just to make sure everybody understands, Flock is not the only company out there that provides license plate readers. There are other companies. I counted 17, and the only reason that I didn't release the list yet is because I haven't had a chance to research all 17 of those companies to make sure that my information is tight. But I do plan on releasing that information as soon as I get it verified. So thank you, Shawn. If you are concerned, just keep in mind that is just one company out of many that people can use. And just to let y'all know, those Flock cameras are at every single Lowe's store around our area. So when you go to Lowe's, they have those cameras on their entrances to the parking lot. And you're being filmed as you go in and out of those. By Lowe's, by Flock. Up next is going to be Chief Arnold and our esteemed Sheriff Bragg, with information about their law enforcement aspect. And if I can get that microphone in front of you. Oh, you got it?
Give it to him. He's the one that likes talking.
He likes to talk a lot. Yeah.
You need me to use that for that. I can talk less. Okay. All right. Hi, I'm Justin Arnold. I'm the police chief in Ozark. I don't know who here is from
Ozark and Nixa, but I'm here to talk about some things from the Ozark Police Department's perspective. You know, what is our position on them, our use, our policy, and things like that. So we have utilized SWAT cameras since early 2023. We started with 3, and really some of the decisions and some of the evaluations going into it is we are charged with providing public safety and policing services to our community. And we're charged to do it in an effective and efficient manner. And so when we were looking at what technology, what things are out there to assist us, lock is something that came onto our radar. Like has already been said, it is a tool, an investigative tool that can be placed in a public area and document things that a police officer or a sheriff's deputy or something like that could also do. The difference is this is a much more effective and efficient way of doing those type of things. So I was given a list of questions, and that's kind of how I prepared. I didn't prepare for this type of format necessarily, but I want to address a few things that I know are on people's minds. So first and foremost, how do we provide oversight or managerial oversight over this program? Well, we treat this just like any other criminal justice information system that we utilize. We utilize quite a few of those, and we treat it as any of those, even though we don't have to, because the flock doesn't tell us anything that is sensitive data or sensitive information. However, we do look at it in the same manner. So any misuse or abuse or anything like that, which we may find through our routine oversight of those type of systems, would be handled in accordance with our policy. We have a disciplinary policy that applies to anything that our officers may do, may misuse, may abuse, anything like that. It goes all the way from systems like this to abuse of a patrol car, to the violation of someone's rights, to an illegal arrest, you know, multiple different things. That obedience area of our policy encompasses all of it. And so this is no different than we treat it no differently than things like the National Crime Information Center, NCIC, which is managed by FBI, MULES, which is the Missouri Uniform Law Enforcement System. Those are all secure databases that we have access to, and we treat this in the same manner as that. So we do monitor for any misuse or abuse. We've all seen some videos here tonight of use and misuse through doing regular audits. We would hope that we were going to find that stuff. Can't say for certain that that's always going to be found. However, we are trying to be proactive to make sure that any system that we utilize or we allow our staff to utilize, that we are making sure that that use is consistent with what our goals as an organization is. And that's providing public safety services to the citizens of Ozark and the visitors to our city. So, do you have anything you want to touch on that, Sheriff?
Yeah, there's not a whole lot more for me to say. You pretty much touched everything that applies to us as well as the Sheriff's Office. We operate very similarly to what the police department does and how we manage those systems as well. What I will say is, and the chief will tell you the exact same thing. If and when we find somebody that has used these systems in a manner that is contrary to policy or law, we will hold them accountable for that. In fact, it's been a couple years ago, we actually had a little bit of an issue like this, and we did handle it accordingly. And you know, I know Chief Arnold well enough to know that he thinks a whole lot like I do. We stay on top of these things. Just like he said, our managers, our audits, those are things that we look at on a very regular basis.
A few things. I think that it's on. I think that one of the big things is you all have some questions, and I don't want to delay getting to that. So, a couple things that I just want to put out there. One, we only operate Falcon cameras. I apologize, I don't remember your name, but we were seeing a lot of footage of the Condor cameras, which are real-time live. We operate Falcons, which are stationary, point in time. They take a picture of the rear of a vehicle, the license plate of a vehicle, and that's the data that we're able to access for two things. One, for our responsive investigation of a crime. Just last week, we had a business in Ozark who called, said, we had this crime occur at our business. This is a description of the vehicle. We were able to utilize our flock system to identify that vehicle, find another area of the county where that vehicle was with the assistance of the sheriff's department, asking them, who are these people, and things like that. We were able to locate where these suspects were. And then our agencies were able to collaborate and actually recover those items for a local business owner and arrested a couple of individuals. So all that to say, we utilize the Falcon, the stationary one. We don't use the real-time one. And I'm sure you know more about that than I do. That's just not an option that we were interested in exploring. And I can't speak for any other department around here, but the Ozark Police Department, we weren't interested in that real-time monitoring.
Yeah, and the same for us. We use the Falcon. I don't know that there's any Condors at all in Christian County.
I don't believe so. Most of those are affiliated with like real-time crime centers. Have you found that, sir, in some of your research on the Condors?
Well, I initially said, I don't blame you guys at all for everything that's going on. Like, this is not a company that I passionately against. But they have lied, you guys. Falcons do record. So that was not only they were sitting in your Falcons. That's recorded and it's definitely camera and no data. They didn't allow access to it, but that's what it's happened.
I don't know. I operate under a master services agreement with Flock, which is as near as in depth as the MOU that I believe that they have with the state because of the those placements on the roadways and stuff. But we operate under a master services agreement with the Falcon. We have no access to anything like that. I can tell you that. Local.
Yeah. The only thing that we have access is to the still photos.
Is there anything else you want me to address on? So Ron and I had about a 2.5 hour conversation.
Yes.
Just talking through this because I wanted to understand where a citizen may come from with concerns about this, and it was a very productive conversation. So if there's something that I didn't touch on, I just didn't really know how this format was going. I was just prepared for questions more than anything. I figured you guys want to ask us questions.
No, I think that you guys have covered law enforcement aspect really well.
Briefly.
I can say in depth the law enforcement aspect was covered by the Moore Forum out of Greene County, which is on our website, on our Facebook page, and people can refer back to that. We had a representative from Sheriff Cole's office there, state police were there, and a couple of local police chiefs were there to explain. And, you guys pretty much covered it. If y'all want to have a seat here, then we'll call everybody else up. You guys can have a seat on this side. We'll keep you away from the troublemakers on the other side.
Used to taking care of troublemakers.
Yeah, you're on the troublemaker side.
Excellent. That's the one I want to be on.
Yes, and we need a mic runner too.
Yeah.
We will have a mic runner, and you guys can use this.
I mean, I can speak loud enough, but if you want to, they'll hear me.
And question and answer phase, I would just like to ask everybody to ask one question. Please make it important, don't ramble on. Address it to who you want to address it to. And once they answer, give the next person a chance to ask another question, and then we'll go around the room again and again if people have additional questions. But before we move into the question and answer phase, I would like to wrap this up and say, when you look at all of the information that you were given tonight, you can understand why everybody is very, very concerned. And I believe with all of this information, I believe that the sheriff and most, if not all of the police chiefs and law enforcement agencies have done their due diligence with policies and their procedures to make sure that they are doing the right thing by us. And if they're not, then it will go to the courts like it's doing in Virginia, and it'll be settled in that manner. And I don't think that they want to lose an important tool like they did with the red light cameras. Red light cameras were struck down not so much because the red light cameras were bad. The procedures for using them were found to be unconstitutional because you had to prove your innocence with a form. So we don't need something like that to happen again. At the same time, this is very important information that we need to take back to our houses, talk to our legislatures, the legislators and the senators, you know, those representatives. We may want to go back to them and say, hey, I think maybe there needs to be some laws passed that outline how these systems should be used and how people should be punished for abusing people's rights if they get in there and do bad things with them. So that may be one angle. The other angle is maybe you find out that Flock as a company is a very bad company, and maybe you want to compel your local city council to go and research these 16 or 17 other companies that also offer license plate reader systems and offer the same services. Maybe they're cheaper, maybe they're a little bit more, maybe they're more secure, maybe they're not. I can tell you, I watched a video where the president of the Hawk, and this is the one thing that I was very disappointed on, openly said that, let me point to the right side here, those of us who are questioning the Flock system are akin to Antifa and domestic terrorists. He said that publicly. Any CEO that decides to do something like that, instead of addressing the IT security issues or addressing the contract issues, tells me that they're not operating above board. And maybe we should go with a different company. Maybe we should steer our money to somebody who is going to be a good steward of taxpayers' resources and do right by us and by the law enforcement, who now have to deal with a million questions from citizens because people are mad about Flock. If you're mad at Flock, be mad at the company. If you're mad about the use of ALPRs, then maybe you need to talk to your city council members. Maybe you need to do some research on whether they're worthy of spending money on or not. We don't know. It's only been around since 2022. Is 3 years long enough to determine if the money is well spent or not whenever it comes to law enforcement? I don't think it is, but that's up to you guys to decide. So with that being said, we will go into the question and answer session. And let's start off with this young gentleman right here.
Hello, my name is Landon Roland. I live in Ozark, and I actually had more of a statement than really a question. And I want to say, first off, I mostly agree with some of the same things that you have said. But I just want to say that this is not just an issue here. Recently, as I'm sure you know, in some video, that hackers from other countries are able to access these similar ALPR cameras in similar ways that the guy in the video used. So this is not just an issue here, this is an international issue that we are dealing with here. So I'm very baffled that it's honestly come to this point. And I support the police officers, you know, you're just doing your job. But I'm also just in disbelief that it's just come to this point. And if you want to look at more sources, those videos are perfect sources.
Yeah.
And they show in detail so much of the security issues and everything about it. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Up next.
Thank you. My name is Martin Montoya. I live in Sparta. I also don't have a question, but a statement. Basically on how they would be used. The sheriff and the police chief have both said that they have certain things that oversights for their units, for their officers. Well, the sheriff's department doesn't even have car cameras or body cams. I know this because I've been pulled over 6 times for flipping off the sheriff's department. The reason why I do is because October 3rd at 4 o'clock, one of the sheriff's deputies ran my wife off the road, just north of Linden on Highway 125. And when I called, all I got was, we try to tell our officers to use decorum during stops. They didn't stop her. They ran her off the road to get the person right in front of her. Did not send any help, even when I called. There's no oversight. They don't oversight their own people now. What's to tell everybody here that they're going to use oversight on these cameras? Money better spent, get a camera in their car, get a camera on their body, have some oversight over themselves before they try to put us all on camera first.
It sounds like an election issue and not a flock forum issue. If that's happening, then maybe have a conversation. I can answer the question about oversight. I learned that when they log in, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, when they log in to use this system, they have to not only log in with the username and password, but they also have to log in with the crime that they are investigating. Everything is audited, everything is logged, and Sheriff, you have a guy, right? That their primary job is to go through those audit logs and make sure that everybody's using them appropriately. And Chief, you have an audit log too, right? And you have somebody assigned with the primary responsibility of that, right? That's you.
It's not their primary responsibility, but
Right.
for our organization, that is what they do.
Right. So there's more oversight in this system than there is in getting pulled over until they get body cams. But that's an election issue. Who's got actual questions? Please, questions, not statements. Who's got actual questions? Flip it up.
Okay. Can you hear me? No one can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you.
Does anybody know what the definition was in Vietnam?
What's your question?
I'm asking a question, the question I asked the whole audience is, does anybody know what the definition was in Vietnam?
Yes.
Raise your hand. Well, bottom line is, look it up later. But we could have a definition right here in America, having all these flock cameras hacked by a bunch of evildoers, could be terrorists. They can pick out all their enemies who they want with the flock cameras and take them all out in one day. So look up Tet Offensive in Vietnam.
Did you have a question about?
The question is, having a flock camera system set up, how would that not prevent a Tet Offensive in America?
Would you like to?
Yeah. So are you asking with how they're set up, would it prevent it? Because I can confidently say no. It wouldn't prevent it. So a lot of these bigger cities have actually, let me turn my mic on. So a lot of these bigger cities have actually implemented flock into their emergency systems. So that is a really big issue with the lack of security that they have. So people have been able to have access to their emergency systems, and they could shut them off on command, en masse. So that's another reason I see that flock or even mass surveillance is an issue, because these bigger cities do see it fit to allow a collaboration with their own emergency services. So if somebody did have access to the system, it wouldn't prevent it now.
All right, next question. We got one right back there. The microphone.
I need to know, how much is this costing both for the city and for the county? How much is it costing, and under what contractual obligations are there? And is it really gonna cost $100,000 or $10,000 or whatever to cancel the contract if the society that you guys serve says, we don't want surveillance, we don't care how much safer, quote, it makes us, we don't want to be surveilled, get rid of them? I need to know the answers to those questions, please.
I can tell you that it costs the sheriff $7,000. That's what our contracted amount is.
Yeah, so we have 12 cameras in Ozark. It costs us a little over $30,000 a year is what we pay, which is about a third of what a police officer would cost us. But $30,000 is what we pay. We have a 60-month term on all the different cameras. However, we can terminate that contract.
And it doesn't cost you a dime if you terminate?
Not to the point where we're at now. So,
It's not like lease where you have to pay the rest of the years?
No.
Okay, tomorrow you can cancel and
With 60-day
yeah,
notice.
60 or 30. Yeah, with proper notice that's outlined in our MSA. We can terminate it.
That's what I want to know. Do they own them? Do they actually?
It can be terminated within 60 days. They're 3-year contracts, if I remember correctly.
Mine's 60 months.
It
5 years, 60.
county government obviously operates different than municipal government. You can't contract for longer than the term that you're elected to. So.
You got a heck of a bargain.
Next question.
174 of them in Norfolk, Virginia. Sacramento is also being sued by the ACLU and EF.
I trust you. You've been around long years, and I trust you. But you're not going to be there forever. We have cameras on every corner.
Bingo.
And some of them down the line, if it rolls over, we get somebody that's not so good. What's going to keep them from abusing that? The systems are already in place.
That's right.
Well, I wish I could wave a magic wand and tell you that. What I can tell you is you have to make sure you elect the right people for the right positions. That's the best answer I can give you. As far as the contractual agreements, it's not the sheriff that you need to talk to, but the county commission, because they're the only ones that can sign a contract for the county. So for the county, it's a two-part process. Obviously, I sign the agreement, but the contractual part of it is through the county.
Do we have any other questions? Yes, we have a question.
So, do you all actually own your cameras, or are they leased?
We purchased our cameras.
You actually own
We
them,
own the cameras.
the flock cameras?
Yes.
Okay, so then you have direct access to the operating system through flock? You don't have to go through the highway patrol?
We do not have to go through the highway patrol.
You don't have to go through the highway patrol either? Because the highway patrol is the master of the flock system in the state of Missouri, unless, if you own it, then of course you have that
Yeah,
access.
no, we own ours.
Would you be willing to send me your memorandums of understanding and/or master service agreements and your policy and procedures?
They're all public record, absolutely.
Okay. I'll give you my email address when we're done. You can get those to me. That'd be great. Thank you. And one other thing. So does anybody know that the person down in Joplin, that officer that misused it nearly 300 times, do we know that he was the system administrator for Joplin? We do know that, don't we? Yeah, just saying that. That's true. Just saying that. Thank you.
All right, well, we have any other questions from the audience? We do have a question.
What was the price of them again? I know you said like it's like a monthly basis or something. How does it work?
It's a yearly cost for ours.
Okay. I looked it up. and then the 3 additional cameras that have been added to, like the OC and Vinny River Park were around 40,000, 30,000, 40,000?
So they're per year. The original 3 that we had were at $2,500 a year per camera. So I have one agreement where we're paying $7,500 annually for those. Then we added 9 additional cameras at a higher rate of $3,000 per year. Because like anything, when demand for a product starts to happen, prices go up. Those are $3,000 a year is what we pay on those. So all in all, when you add those 2 together, it's 30,000 something. If I had my budget here, I would tell you exactly what it is. But it's this $7,500 a year for the first 3, and then roughly 3,000. Excuse me.
They charged me $800 when I took it down.
So I understand that you guys own the camera themselves specifically, but do you actually own any or all the intellectual property, or you are allowing the phone company to use it? Because either way, it's factual.
So we own the data. To answer your question, anytime that we've called for support, service, or maintenance, we have to give explicit permission to Flock to access our system to do any of that maintenance, support, updates, anything like that that we need.
So this is completely concealed and contained.
As far as we know, as far as I know. I rely on CGIS, which is a FBI program. The FBI monitors the CGIS system nationwide. And of law enforcement systems, when they are CGIS compliant, that is a indicator to me that it is something that we can use within our law enforcement databases.
Okay. And follow-up question. If we own specific cameras within Ozark, or them being a private company, they're at all different places as well, are we in control of whether or not they operate further, like we control our area, or they can just do as they please?
So you're correct, Lowe's does have cameras. We have access to Lowe's cameras. However, Lowe's does not have access to any of our cameras. Okay. I'm not sure I understand what you mean by going further.
Basically, is it more controlled territory where Flock has to, because they're going to serve the city, not specifically just Lowe's. But if they're servicing Lowe's on top of the city, they're double dipping.
I'm not sure that I understand. Lowe's is a private company who's under a private contractual agreement with this private.
Basically, that's where my issue comes in. You guys specifically aren't using a Condor, but you're allowing Condor to be used within the city.
I have no authority over a private business telling them what type of security features they can have and use. I don't control that. Even as a private individual, if you want to use a your property, I have no authority to do that. If you're a private business, I have no authority to do anything when it comes to surveillance and safety of your property.
Okay, so for 12 locations in Ozark, I'm sorry, I'm a little bit stunned by that. I guess I'm just not even that. I did not realize, I don't understand, what is this? Is this mostly just traffic related? What is it, the purpose of these readers or the cameras?
Twofold. One is to be reactive when crime is reported to us, right? It's an investigative tool for us to go and find potential investigative leads to solve crimes when we have victims in our city. Second, even though it may be a dirty word to some, proactive policing. Proactive policing is what keeps a community safe. When you proactively find people who are in your community to victimize the residents, victimize the businesses by some of this, they mentioned hot list alerts and stuff like that. When we know a stolen vehicle is coming into our city, guess what people do with stolen vehicles? They commit additional crimes. Stolen license plates are the same. They may drive their own vehicle, but they want to conceal their identity utilizing stolen plates. We get alerted to those type of things. 12 may sound like a lot. Do you know how many people drive up and down US 65 every year? Over 30 million. 30 million. Actually, I believe it's almost 32 to 33 million drive up and down US 65 every year. A lot of good people in Christian County. We all know that. That's why I work here. That's why he's the sheriff here. That's why you guys are here. There's a lot of people that aren't that great that are coming through our communities and committing crimes and taking advantage of our citizens and our businesses and things like that. When we initially deployed these, we deployed them along the US 65 corridor. Because when people came into our community with ill intentions or ill wills, we wanted to know that, and we wanted to have a tool for us to be able to bring resolution to citizens or businesses in our community when they were victims of crime. That's how we first started it. Then we started thinking about school zones and parks and community centers. Probably the biggest alert we get are on sex offenders. Sex offenders who are close to our parks, sex offenders who are close to our community centers, things like that. And do we take action on that? No.
How can you, I thought you had to have a crime listed in order to look this up.
So this is this system operates in concert with MULES, the Missouri Uniform Law Enforcement System. If a plate of an individual is flagged for things like having a warrant, being a sex offender, being a stolen plate, stolen vehicle, a missing or endangered person, a wanted person, silver alerts, amber alerts, things like that, those are all flagged in our state system if they're attached to a license plate. This product will then alert us that a plate which is flagged in our state law enforcement system has been detected at this location. So the majority of our alerts are sex offenders at school zones or by a park or by a community center. Do we take action on that? No, because we have learned that most of the time those are people who live in that community and that's just part of their commute. But there have been times where my officers have worked in conjunction with his school resource deputies to find out-of-area sex offenders who were at our schools. So the clock system alerted us they were in the area. My officers thought, that doesn't seem right. Let's go to that area. We communicated with his school resource deputies and found out, sure enough, an offender from out of the area was at one of our schools. So, huge return on your investment. That in and of itself. I went on a tangent. I'm sorry. I think you asked if traffic was the main reason. We don't use it for any traffic related.
Okay, so public spaces. I mean,
They're
like
all
parks and like the OC and.
on roadways leading to those places.
Okay. Yeah, and I guess somebody set that up there. I guess that was the other thing I wanted to know was how to find access to if it was public information where these were listed or where these were located.
I can answer your question about the probable cause, if I may. Sex offenders, once they're on a registry, they lose a lot of their rights as far as being anonymous in public. They have to register when they move. They can't go to the school. They are limited to how much privacy they have. And if they're flagged in the system, the government has a right to know that they are moving from one area to the next, whether they report it or not. So just like a stolen vehicle, probable cause to know where that stolen vehicle is and to investigate that. Amber alerts, kidnapped child, we have probable cause to go find the vehicle that may have kidnapped that child. So there are mechanisms that are already adjudicated that require reasonable suspicion, probable cause, and warrants. There are just some things that are still in gray areas that will either have to be sorted out by our representatives and our senators or by the courts.
And would like to clarify something. This system does not give us probable cause.
No.
This system gives us an investigative lead. We still have to send a police officer out there to verify what information is provided to us through this system, and then develop our own reasonable suspicion to make a traffic stop for something, or potentially it could develop probable cause for us, but we still have to send a police officer out there to do that. I talk with people, and I'm willing to talk with anyone who wants to talk about this. We're not mailing citations based on what's observed on flock. We're not, we're not going to the court and petitioning for an arrest warrant based on what we observe on flock. We still have to send a police officer out to verify any of that information. This is just a way that we can be much more efficient and effective in doing that, with very, very little interruption of 99% of our citizenry's daily life. No interruption.
We got one more answer over here with Shawn for that question.
Yeah, she was asking about this website. This website's called dflock.me. It's a public database. This is one of the websites Flock tried to get taken down. There's a bit of a process to get cameras up. Like, they need to know whether or not you actually see a camera, so you have to submit some information. But as you can see, it shows the location and the direction it's facing. I personally have changed my route to and from work because I don't like them and I think it's weird. So I think it's a bit of an odd thing to have. But yeah, that's the public database. If, I know you were asking. So if you're curious to see where they're all located, it's a really good one. But again, since it's public, not every camera is going to be on there. But if you spot one and you think it might be a Flock camera, you can submit it and it'll be located on that website. Yeah.
Good question.
I'd like to know whether the Sheriff's Office or the Ozark Police Department utilizes sound detection software from Flock Safety.
We do not.
Thank you.
Nope.
Steve from Ozark. Steve from Ozark. I'll just clarify the expenditures again for the cameras. Is it a subscription for 5 years? Is it 12 cameras for 1 year? You mentioned 30,000.
Yeah. So we have 12 cameras. 3 of them cost me $2,500 a year
For the camera.
per camera. The remaining 9 cost me $3,000 a year. It's a 5-year term, but there is a termination clause within the master services agreement where I can get out of it with the proper notice, either 30 or 60 days. I'm not sure which it would be. I don't have it in front of me. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. So you don't really. So you're leasing or owning? So you're leasing or owning?
We own the data. We don't own the equipment.
I thought I heard earlier you purchased the cameras.
Not me.
Is that the county then?
Yes.
We've got people that have had multiple questions, so I'm trying to be fair.
Sheriff Cole again. There's one, I don't have good enough eyesight, but it looks like there's one at 125 and you, is that right?
That is correct.
Kevin Wilkerson's place?
Is it what?
Kevin Wilkerson's right over
It's on the state right away, right at the intersection.
Okay.
On the southeast corner.
Okay, yeah. That'd be my friend, and say I haven't met within about 2 miles. Okay, thank you.
We got 3 questions right there.
Lynn Morris, Presiding Commissioner. So my question is to our sheriff, and I want to just say first of all, I've lived in this county a long time. Between my wife and I both over 100 years, and we're not that old yet. But we have a great law enforcement group between the cities and the sheriff. But my question to you, Sheriff, is you just surprised me completely because I don't think I've ever been asleep at a commission meeting. I presided over the last 3 years. I served the Eastern Commissioner 2 years. Exactly what date did the commission? Because when I talked to Commissioner Jackson and Williams, and he wasn't there because he's only served 1 year. What year are you talking about?
I would have to go back and look. When
Well,
I don't remember.
Because
Yeah.
you need to talk. When you say that the commission okayed this, surely to God, I wasn't asleep during a commission meeting, because I've had citizens call me, and I didn't know anything about this, until just a few months ago. Really, honestly, I knew nothing about it. I didn't know that we had one at 125 and you until just a few weeks ago when I started to look into it myself. And I'm not saying I'm against it, I'm just listening. But what I am concerned about is none of the commissioners know anything about it. So I'll be talking to our county attorney, which is your county attorney.
Yeah.
And we're gonna figure this out, because I don't want you to tell people that the presiding commissioner, and you need to talk to the commission, because I gotta figure this out too. I don't remember ever voting on that.
I can clarify that.
I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, I don't remember the date. It's
What year do you think it was?
I don't even want to say, Lynn, because I don't remember what year it was. Fremont Hills.
2020, right? I mean, they didn't have it in 2020, right?
There was. I don't.
6 years ago.
Fremont Hills was the first.
Yeah,
one
Fremont
in
Hills
county.
was the first. I also have to look.
Okay.
Lynn, I can clarify how it happened in Camden County. They don't go through you. The sheriff in Camden County was contacted by the Department of Public Safety. Now, not about the ones that maybe your county bought, if you bought any of them, but you know as well as I do, he can buy things through his budget that you might know about when you approve it through your system, but he'll buy them whether you want them to or not, honestly. But what they do is the Department of Public Safety will come to the sheriff's department. They say, well, would you like one of these in your community? Sure, I'd love to have this tool. That'd be a fantastic thing. And then they sign an MOU without you.
No offense, because I'm for law enforcement. If we didn't have law enforcement in this county, we wouldn't be in this county. There'd be no.
Come on.
I'm just very concerned about what you said, and because I just don't think we had any kind of agreement. The only time I've missed, I hardly ever even take a vacation in this county. I'm there every day, and I just don't know how I could have missed it.
You didn't.
But I did miss about 3 months when I lost my foot and my leg. And there was someone else presiding over it for about 3 months. But I will have our county clerk, we will search tomorrow morning, and we're gonna find out whether something was ever presented to the commission and was ever signed, because Commissioner Jackson, he's been here 3 years now, and he didn't seem to know anything about it. I don't know anything about it, and so that concerned me. And no offense, because I think you're the best sheriff in the state, and I would vote for you again. But I'm just telling you, when you tell people that go ask the commission, well, you don't ask me because I don't know anything about it, but I'm gonna find out.
Yeah, that's what I explained. Obviously, the contracts go through the county. The agreements are through the sheriff's office. But yes, you are correct.
Next up is the nice lady right up here, and then the young man right behind her. They have a whole bunch of questions, just blow up right now.
Well, one of them has to do with what he just said, and I wanted to know, how did the cameras come about? How did you find out about them? Did you search them? Did you see them at a sheriff's and police convention? Ex-husband, police. So I'm just curious about that. Did somebody present them to you? Did you get a grant? Were you enticed to get them? I'm very curious about that. And my number 2 question will go to you. When you say you own the data, I would like an explanation. What does owning the data mean? So that's a 2-part question.
Well, the first time that I was ever introduced to the flock camera was when the city of Fremont Hills put their cameras in, and they've had them for several years. That's the first time I knew anything about them. Obviously, we go to trade shows and things all the time, and I've seen them there, but my first initial experience was with the city of Fremont Hills.
So was there an enticement for you to get them from the
Well, it's
companies or, you know?
well, I'm not sure what you mean by enticement, but some of the aspects of it and the ability to do what, like the chief was talking about earlier, using things together for evidence and utilize the cameras outside of using a police officer. I mean, he's got 12 cameras. The cost of adding 12 police officers would be, I don't know what it would be, but it would be a whole lot more than what he pays right now for the cameras. So the cost is a huge benefit related to the ability to use that for investigative purposes.
I guess I'm asking monetary benefits.
Monetary benefits? I mean, like I said, I mean, it costs.
I don't know exactly how I want to word this. Incentive, maybe that was the word I needed. Instead of enticement, an incentive. Was there a monetary incentive for the county, the city, whatever, to get the cameras?
If you're asking if there was a kickback, is that what you're asking?
No, not a kickback.
So there was no monetary incentive for us. I'll answer it on, because the second part's to me also. So I first started hearing about it at trade shows, organizations and associations that I'm affiliated with, professional development type associations, that if you're a business owner or anything like that, you're probably affiliated with stuff like that. That's where I started hearing about it. Fremont Hills came online in Christian County. That was the first one. We started seeing successes with that. The fact that people who were coming to that community to do things that may not be legal were identified. Then talking to peers from around the state, around the nation for that matter, who were having success with this as a force multiplier in providing public safety services to a community. I'll tell you, I'm somewhere between probably 7 and 11 police officers below where I should be for a city our size in the Midwest, with the crime rates that we have and things like that. There are multiple different ways that you can do it. The worst way is just to go based on population, but that's the way everybody does it. So based on population, I'm 7 to 11 below. Based on call volume, so people call me, I need an Ozark police officer right now, I'm probably even a little more, probably like 8 to 12. When you look at the workload that is created by things like 33 million people driving up and down 65 highway every year, I'm probably 9 to 14 police officers below where I should be, based on consistency with other law enforcement agencies. So, to counteract that, I have to find a way to be effective and efficient in keeping people safe, responding to crime after it occurs, and ensuring a high quality of life that really probably anyone in Christian County experiences. Okay? So that is where, when you start hearing about these technologies, you start seeing some results, and then you learn that things like the FBI's CJIS requirements, they meet those type of requirements. So that tells us that's a system that is safe to use. I am not a technical expert. The gentleman that was here earlier obviously knows much more about IT, technical things than I do. I'm paid to be a police chief. I'm paid to provide the best service that I can to my community, keep them safe, keep their property safe, to not interfere with their daily lives. If people don't know we're there, we're doing a really good job, right? If people don't know that they're not seeing us, and they're not seeing us protect their property and keeping people who have ill will away, we're doing a pretty good job, because we're not interfering with your daily lives in any way. And I know people can take that statement and make it whatever they want to, but really, you don't want to see me parked out in front of your house every day to keep it safe. You just want to know that we are doing things in other areas of our city, and we're being proactive, and that keeps your property safe, because bad actors have a belief that if they come to Ozark or if they come to Christian County, that is not going to be a very profitable experience for them, because they're probably going to meet an Ozark police officer or a Christian County deputy, and they're probably going to be prosecuted, and they're probably going to go to jail. And so that's why I say, like, we shouldn't be seen, and you should feel safe in your home, and you should know that we're protecting you in other ways for that. There's a really long answer to your question. Your second one, when you asked about the data and what that means. We control the data, is what I mean. So our retention policy is a 30-day retention policy for us. I can only access the data for 30 days. At day 31, I'm too late. So if a crime occurs on, what is today, the 14th? 15th? If a crime would have occurred on December 14th and we found out about it today, guess what? I can no longer use this technology, because our retention policy is 30 days. I can't speak to what Flock can do. There are people who probably know more about that company than I do, obviously. I just know what I have access to. I know what my officers have access to. I know the use that we use it for. People can say what they want. Come have a conversation with me like Ron did, and I'll talk with you. I don't care if you live in my city or if you live in the county, because you're probably traveling through my city. I'm more than happy to have that conversation. That's also my job as the police chief, is to develop those relationships and partnerships and stuff. Sorry, sir.
What I'd like to add, has the public, by constitutional rights, has they got the right to come into that data and look and see what's in that block cameras? Have we had the constitutional right, to your opinion?
So none of it is, nothing that I have access to or through what we utilize Flock for. Yeah. So nothing that we have is personal protective information, right? It's not protected information. It's something that you could go out and see. So if we are able to produce what you're asking for, I'll give it to you all day long. Like that's fine. We've had people who have made requests that we cannot make the database produce what they're wanting. But if you want to know how many times your license plate or someone else's license plate's been captured, that's public information that anyone can be out on the side of the street, look at, and document. We'll release that to you all day long. I mean, that's no question. It's no problem. This is just a picture of a license plate.
When you say a picture of a license plate, is it really just a picture of the plate, or do you have the whole car, or the inside of the car?
We have the car and the license
And
plate.
the inside of the car.
You could potentially see some stuff, but
That's what I know.
yeah.
Other questions from people that have not asked a question yet first? Anybody else that want to ask a question, hasn't asked a question? There we go.
This technology isn't just stationary. This Flock camera stuff is also mobile. There are police cars that are equipped with it, even tow trucks. Some of them have it. Do you guys use it in a mobile form? And if you don't, why not?
Yeah, so all of our cameras are stationary. We have no mobile cameras, and I think he's.
So all of our Flock cameras are stationary. We have dash cams through Motorola, watch guard system. They do have license plate reading technology on some of those for the mobile vehicles.
This is a question just for the officers, no offense, but do we as citizens of Christian County vote for this?
No.
In a way, you do.
Yeah, I mean, you appointed elected officials for me. My elected board of aldermen, I believe you said you were from Ozark, correct? So this was presented not only in educational settings, but also in an official public meeting through a board of aldermen meeting, and they voted to approve the contract. So the people you elected to represent you, I think is what Ron is saying, ultimately did vote for this. Does that answer your question?
Republic,
But as far as a vote of the people, no,
didn't
I did
advertise
not.
it, so it was mostly people, like older people who retired.
That's because that's the way they always do it, because they don't really want you to know what they're doing. Oh, I'm sorry, yes. Yes, sir.
Does this not create an infrastructure for a Chinese-style surveillance?
Oh, that's absolutely fantastic, because that's exactly what it's setting up if that's what they want to do. And right now, if you're a Donald Trump supporter, maybe you're not as worried about it, although I might be. But if you're a Biden, if Biden's in office and you're a Trump supporter, are you worried about what Biden would have done with it? Because it's through their administration that started this entire process in 22. The grants came through the Department of Transportation, U.S. Department of Transportation, and that's how they got into Missouri to begin with. So yes, if anybody studies China and what they do, they use facial recognition ID, and if you cross the street, they'll share that information with your neighbors and let them know that you just broke the law. And these sorts of things are starting to come to America. You're absolutely going to see it, because I think we've demonstrated in a lot of different areas around this country that, once again, the government is not concerned as much about your rights as controlling you. They're more concerned about controlling you. I would like to follow up on a question this lady had, and I think, Lynn, you probably want to know the answer to this. Sheriff, who reached out and to get these cameras? Did they reach out to you, or did you reach out to them?
Honestly, I can't answer that question because I do not remember. But I do believe that I saw them at the Missouri Sheriff's Conference. They were set up as a vendor, and I know I did contact them there and get information from them there. So that's really the first time that I can remember having any personal contact with a representative from Flock was at the Sheriff's Association conference.
I would like to believe in this also. When it comes to our rights, we have to be proactive
Amen.
in our local community.
Amen.
We have to be proactive with the county commission. People should be going to those meetings
Amen.
and finding out what's going on. Commissioner Skelton had an ordinance passed in his county where they are outlawed. So that can happen. Cities have passed ordinances that said that's outlawed. Okay? States can pass ordinances or laws that say they're outlawed, or they can only be used for this, or they can only be used for that.
That's right.
And once all of that happens, if it happens, the only thing that the federal government can really do is ask or put it on federal land or on interstates, federally controlled locations. So when you think about it, everybody going home every day, everybody missing out on the city council meetings, missing out on the county commission meetings, which you can go watch in your leisure on YouTube.
Sometimes.
And send emails. Send emails to them. Turn it into an election issue.
Yeah, there you go.
One of the things that our organization, we're presenting here, the Christian County MRA and the state MRA, which is the Missouri Republican Assembly, we do that kind of stuff. We activate people to get involved, and if we need representatives and senators to start drafting legislation, we need help, because 10 or 20 of us or 30 of us aren't going to make enough noise to get 116 representatives? No, 163.
Yeah, I think 63.
I'm not going to get 163 representatives to pass a law. So we need your help. We need everybody's help. And if it's as big enough an issue, then people should be engaging with letters, with talks, with more people filling rooms like this.
Yeah. Can I add to that just a little bit, Ron? So the Missouri legislature, when this first all came around, Senator Rowden was the Senate floor leader, or Senate Majority Leader in the Missouri General Assembly. He actually introduced a bill that would have allowed flock cameras in the state of Missouri and made a little bit of legislation for them. It went absolutely nowhere whatsoever. Senator Searpoy, a couple of years ago, also introduced legislation to end the flock systems and prohibit flock cameras in the state of Missouri. That really went nowhere. Last year, Senator Mike Moon filed the same similar bill, and so did my state representative, Jeff Vernetti, on my request, and they went absolutely nowhere. I will tell you, it's going to take, Ron is absolutely right. For those of us that are concerned about this technology and this mass surveillance state that is happening, don't let anybody please tell you any different. This is exactly what is happening. For us to stop it, you're going to have to get more involved, because leadership in the state of Missouri does not concern themselves with these sorts of things because they don't want to take on the police lobby. That's one of the biggest things. And the Sheriff's Association lobby is incredibly strong, and it's very tough to take them on in Jefferson City. But we are the people. There are a lot more of us, and if we stand up for our rights, we can end this in Missouri, but it's going to take an awful lot of work because there are forces against us, and it's called our government.
Actually, I have a question for the officers. So, with everything you listed, like crime-wise, what it could prevent, one, I mean, I've shown you how these can be abused by normal people, but two, seeing how that could lead to crimes such as stalking and other things, since you now know this, if that happens, would you be held accountable? Or does this change your thought on flock at all?
So two things. First, if someone were to do what you described, that would be a crime.
Yeah, no, I know, but it's super easy to hide, though.
So we would have probable cause to make an arrest for tampering with the computer data, stealing whatever may be property damage. We would be able to investigate that. If my police officers commit a crime in the performance of their duties, not only would they be held accountable by me, but they would probably be held accountable by the FBI. There's little room for that. Most studies will show you that there's not a lot of that from police officers.
No,
there's really not, statistically speaking. And the commissioner can smirk at me all he would like, but statistically speaking, police officers just don't do that a whole lot. They really don't. And when they do, they're held accountable and they're drug out throughout the.
I'm saying, so.
He said, would we be held accountable?
Yeah, well, since you now know how vulnerable these cameras are, I guess, do you take an issue with it? Because, I mean, it's not that you guys are abusing them, but it's that this private company is abusing us. And then it can then be also it can be abused by us as well.
So that is definitely something that we will have to ask. I can't speak for anyone else. I will have to ask questions about. I will tell you the overarching compliance that I look for in any database that we utilize is that compliance with CJIS, because that's really what ties our hands. Not ties our hands. That's a very bad word. That is what guides us. Sorry, I'm trying to have a conversation. That's what guides us in our decision making and our protections and how we utilize criminal justice information is by what we're required to do, how we're required to protect it, and stuff like that. And that's a question I can't answer. I don't have the technical knowledge.
Yeah, but I mean, personally.
However, asking questions regarding that ongoing compliance, like I think that's a question that should be asked. Yeah, for sure. But I don't have the technical expertise to say whether or not someone is at CJIS is getting it wrong or something like that. They're not even local here.
I'm aware of them. Yeah. I'm just saying though, like, to you though, do you look at it differently? Because the fact that they have USB ports exposed on these devices makes it super simple, and I can just stand behind the camera and now I'm not a line of sight.
Yeah, so I mean, it's troubling, but I drive down every street and see things that trouble me where people, businesses, communities, stuff like that are susceptible to crime all the time. And so, yeah, I mean, obviously, I don't like the sounds of that, but I need a technical expert on some of those matters to really advise me before we can make good decisions. So.
I've got a question. The cameras that are listed, I'm looking at the locations. Are any of these near or within the view of private residences? I imagine they are. In other words, if I'm looking, like for example, you brought up 125 and U, which is honestly right down the road from where I live. And I'm going, I know that area, and there's only one house on that corner, and it's facing the wrong direction. That's for the camera. But if they change the camera direction, they would be monitoring that house. And my question to you would be, can you tell me without a doubt that all of these locations are not showing a residence? And if they are showing a residence, could we put a camera, how would you feel about us having cameras that showed either of your residences? And how would you feel about that? I'm not trying to be facetious, but I'm saying these block cameras, the more we get, the more private people are going to be watched. 125. And if that was true, before that happens, I would like the cameras to be put on your houses or shown in your houses so that people would see where you were coming and going all the time. And I'm being not sarcastic, but taking it to the next level where it could be.
So, obviously the camera at 125 and U points back to the north. It gets the highway. We only have 3 cameras. The other one is on Highway 65 at Saddlebrook, and it's the highway. The other one is the intersection of AA Highway and Nicholas Road. Points out on the roadway. To answer part of your question, I don't want cameras on my house any more than you want cameras on your house. I have 40 acres behind my house, and there's 60 acres in front of my house. But my neighbor's corner comes right up to my driveway. If they want to plant a camera at the end of my driveway on their property and point it at my house, there's not a thing in the world I can do about it. That's the society and the world we live in. I don't want a camera any more than you. The reality of it is there's nothing I can do about it if the neighbor wants to put one. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so. I thought you said how many. So, like I said, our initial ones were right on the 65 corridor. So we have 3 major interchanges within the city on 65. CC up north, which is like Lambert's, for those of you that aren't familiar with Ozark. It's a business district. There's apartment complexes up in that area. I don't believe any of them would be caught, but if they were, there would be no identifiable information that could be retained from that. And then we have them at 14 and 65. Again, we are looking for people who are coming into our city to do ill will. And then down at F Highway in 65, which is the Walmart. Again, there's no houses right around those interchanges. The rest of our cameras are positioned for people coming into our city. So on the west side of our city, out towards OTC, out in that area, coming into our city, we're looking at those license plates. Again, there's a few houses in that area. They may be captured in a peripheral, background, but I don't believe so. I'm not an active user of this system. Then we also have on 14 coming into our city eastbound westbound from Sparta, east side of our city. Again, that's all businesses, no residential. We have some by the OC, which is our community center. And then down by the Riverside Park, down on the Finley River. We have some down there. Obviously, there are residences that are on the east side of that road. That camera captures, actually down by the bridge. It captures the roadway and no houses behind it. I think I hit all the cameras because the corridors have multiple ones at 65 and those main interchanges. You know, a lot of agencies don't put out their locations for these cameras, and the reason why is because people damage these cameras. That's an active thing that's occurring. People going out and actually damaging them. When this was presented to our board, we give approximate locations, just because I don't know that it would have done any good to give GPS coordinates exactly where ours are. However, the agreements that we sign with MoDOT to get these placed on the side of state right-of-way have those GPS coordinates. Another question that I heard that I'll go ahead and answer was how far do they capture? I don't know. I don't know. The IT guy may have that information. Sorry.
You're good, Sean.
Sean,
sorry, man.
I don't know what their sight distance.
I
don't know.
I mean, if it can see it, it tries to collect data on what it is. I mean,
is that the Condor or the Falcon?
Either. So both. The only difference between the Condor is the Condor uses. It's not operated by people. Yeah, it moves. It moves by itself. But the Falcon will still try to document everything that it sees. So if it's in line of sight, we'll still try to document it.
And the one I took down actually videoed the entire time. I took it up to my office and it videoed in my office. Yeah. And they're also GPS locatable because they knew it was in my office. So. FYI. Which was fine because I sent him a letter the next day telling him to come get it anyway. So
from experience, right?
That's exactly correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
You said that the cops aren't likely to do this, but they are type of job, which is just skipping a hump. And personally, as far as I've seen and experienced the sheriff myself, discipline's not really a thing.
Yeah, I was just the overall likelihood that police officers are going to commit crimes and things like that, because I believe that's where the question earlier was headed. Absolutely, you're right. Temptation. No. It depends. I mean, potentially. Police Officer Bill of Rights is a state statute that was passed in the state of Missouri 2 years ago or 3 years ago. So discipline has changed when it comes to police officers. I'll tell you, for my agency, we're an accredited police department. We're accredited by a third party, the Missouri Police Chiefs Association, which means every 3 years I allow outside police professionals to come in and look at everything that we're doing and make sure that we're doing things that are up to industry standard, regardless if it's in Ozark or somewhere else. And so we have outside accountability when it comes to that. But yeah, we hold officers accountable, absolutely.
That doesn't exactly answer my question. I'll admit that I work for a private company, I'm not allowed to say who, but if we make enough mistakes, we're put on a suspension unpaid.
Yep.
Oftentimes you hear officers getting paid vacations for wrongdoing. What is actual discipline? What does that look like?
It can be anywhere from verbal reprimand all the way up to termination. So it could be paid, unpaid vacation, or paid or unpaid leave. It depends. I can't give you a one-size-fits-all type answer.
Until they're found guilty, they're innocent until they're found guilty. That's where the Bill of Rights that the legislature passed. You know, that's already something that they have to deal with. Okay, he's innocent until proven guilty, just like everybody else. But the guy down in Joplin's been charged with crimes. So they've already gone through the process.
Oh, I didn't know that.
There's a lady down in Georgia.
I didn't know that.
The county only has 2 cameras. And she's getting charged with crimes too. I'm pretty sure they put on unpaid leave for a while. But once they get charged with crimes, they still have to go to court and be convicted before all of the other actions can take place. We have to think about that. So, I mean, that is very important because I don't want to be, mistreated in society before I actually am convicted.
That's more of what I'm like.
So that's a part of our society that we have to accept. Because that's not all we're here for.
If you would like for me to address your situation in front of all these people, I'd be glad to do that, but I don't think you want me to do that here.
No, that's not all we're here for, so That is not going to happen.
And I'd like to help the chief a little bit. That Bill of Rights, I'll tell you what, it is a serious deal, and it really makes it difficult for you guys to be able to discipline officers sometimes because of all the steps you have to go through. So he's right about that. It is it's not as simple as it used to be.
It is not, and on top of that, if you don't follow the police officer bill of rights,
you can be seriously sued.
You're actually guilty of a misdemeanor.
Yeah, they're right about that one. I'll give you props when props are props, but
it doesn't mean that we don't.
No, we absolutely do. No, he said it's a small percentage. It's a small ratio. It's like anything else. You know, there's a small percentage of the population of the United States that commits crimes.
I'm not saying you guys are guilty and nobody's guilty, you're innocent until proven guilty. That's not my issue. We're trying to make
yeah, but how about the guys that get picked up because they're afraid they get put on Facebook? We arrested this person this night.
We have another question.
Yeah, how innocent are they?
And then, William Morris, our Commissioner Morris, our last question.
We've had one back here.
You got a question too?
Yes, please. So you said earlier that you need someone with more technical expertise to go over it. Why do you have someone with technical expertise to go over it before you implement it?
Great question.
We did. FBI, who monitors the criminal justice information systems, that they meet the requirements. Flock has to meet those requirements. No different than a lot of our vendors when it comes to computer software. We use a lot of different software programs. If they are handling sensitive data, they have to fall under that compliance. Flock doesn't have to.
Is that like a
they do.
personal thing? Like, did you have to meet someone to like talk about it, or was it like a, I don't know.
They must have because they're compliance procedures. So, you know, we know that to be a fact, that they are CJIS compliant. And I mean, I don't know, I don't know how else to explain that other than in law enforcement, we use a lot of systems, and that is the standard which we must kind of pay attention to and operate under, because that is to give us that ability to have sensitive information regarding law enforcement.
Okay, we got two more questions, and then we'll wrap up.
Yeah, thank you. Sheriff Cole, just real quick, I didn't write that down. What's the other two areas besides 125 and you?
65 in Saddlebrook,
Okay.
and AA in Nicholas Road.
Okay, AA and Nicholas. Okay. Well, let me tell you real quickly. Thank you, Ron. Thank you, MRA. Thanks for being here. I'm going to have to go. I know you're getting ready to please check what we were talking about, because I'm going to be checking tomorrow. When I think about this, I think more. I don't think the commission was ever involved in this, and we will have the first two town hall meetings, February the 14th and February the 28th. First one's at Ozark, the second one's at Nixa. Ozark's Innovation Center, the first one. Ozark's Event Center over in Nixa, the second one. Everyone's welcome all over the county. We'll have over 100 people there. We can talk about this or anything else that you want to talk about. But I appreciate everybody being here tonight. I appreciate all the citizens. I appreciate everybody. Hey, I appreciate you. You got the longest drive back.
Well, that's all right. I'm deeply passionate about this.
I'll see you at the board meeting.
Yes, sir.
Next week.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Last question, then we'll wrap it up.
Last one, if that'd be good.
So first of all, first question I got towards the IT gentleman. So for as far as IT purposes, my home, I have Ring camera and I have cameras almost, now I'm gonna go home and turn the camera and face my Safeway because I thought about this. So you're saying that it is more apt for somebody to break into someone's personal Ring camera versus the block camera.
Your ring camera. Yeah, yes. Every time they've had a leak, they've patched it pretty quickly. It doesn't mean that they're not still using your data. I still believe that they are. I don't have any of those security systems. I have, my own home server and stuff like that that operates all my stuff. But that's just because I don't want to be a product. But Ring does come out with patches pretty frequently, and they do acknowledge it. Flock, on the other hand, hasn't. So, but
I think because Ring as well does have MPS, is that correct?
yes, yeah, yeah.
So, in addition to, with this one would be more towards, this would be more towards the officers. Walmart, Lowe's, they have a regulation, cameras up throughout the schools. There won't be much difference, especially with use, other than you guys would be in charge of the lock systems versus they could utilize it for just about anything. Most private businesses did have a superior camera system. Would that be correct? And has that ever been used for, and you may not know this, for any legal actions?
I'm not aware of any. I mean, I think we can probably all agree that it's commonly known that a lot of those big private companies are heavily involved in developing that. I have no idea whether or not that's been utilized in legal actions in Ozark or not.
No.
Well, I'd like to thank everybody for attending. I would like to look at the camera and thank everybody who is watching from home as well. I do find value in making these things live now. And I'm going to try to have another one of these about taxes in a few months. So make sure that you follow us, make sure that you take a look. When we put it together, it might be right here. Just one thing to leave with everybody here. It is our responsibility as citizens to secure our taxes. It's also our responsibility as citizens to make sure that the people who are operating our government are doing what they're supposed to do and are not doing what they're not supposed to do. And you're never going to be able to do that if you don't start paying attention to what they're doing. Because they're doing a lot, and some of the bad actors are expecting you not to read stuff. Good thing about Missouri is that we have a lot of good people here, especially Nixa, Ozark, Christian County. That's why we live here. Yes, there are some problems. Yes, work on those problems. Get with the people that you need to talk to. But it doesn't go away if you don't go and address it. That's what we're doing here tonight, and that's why I thank everybody for attending, including people at home. Thank you.
Sorry. Sorry for the IT guy.
I didn't want to
I came here from Kansas.